everyone. I'm Russ. Welcome to Dank Think Tank. I've always been passionate about political discourse and the impact it has on our society. Growing up, I saw firsthand how policies affect everyday people, and that's what ignited my interest in politics. Let's get started with today's little episode.
They are so hell-bent on us having a new pandemic, a new plague, that now we're starting to see very concerning things come out of scientists and researchers, including virologists, the people who are looking at these viruses, that they are planning to weaponize and purposefully release some sort of biologic just to make the stocks that they have put into antivirals, vaccines, whatever it is, they're trying to make these be used. Now, I don't know, that might just be hearsay. It could be a lot of rumors. What we just have to do is take in all the rumors that you see and hear, take them with a grain of salt and go, okay, well, if it becomes actionable, that means if there's validity to it and it becomes well known, then I have a plan in place to act. So I want you guys to set up a little bit of a trigger plan in your own preparedness, that if this happens, if we do see some sort of weaponization of monkeypox, the plague, the WHO just said, hey, the plague is out here. It's the next big one. Now, when have you heard that? Sure, we've had little sporadic plague, getting transferred from a rat to a squirrel, or this squirrel was found to have the plague in Colorado, or this one person got bit by an animal that gave him the plague. There's been very small sporadic things, very under the carpet. Nobody even talks about it. And then the WHO's like, hey, that could be the next one. We better be ready for it. So they do want to use a lot of your money to prepare for this. I wish we got some of that money, honestly, because then maybe we could do some good with it, but that's not their plan. There is a high cost of living crisis inside the USA, and we're starting to see economists now saying that the American people have been stretched so thin that they are going to break. Now, in yesterday's video, I told you that there's an invisible line in which the people's trust in government, trust in governing, trust in the corporations, it all becomes a washout. That's when you see civil war happen. That's when you see unrest happen inside of the country. Now I'm seeing economists, these are major guys, each saying that the American people have been pushed past the line, and now there's no backing up. The corporations aren't going to take less money for what they want to make. The people who are out there to gouge you and take your taxes, they're not going to take less money in the back doors and back pockets, or their back doors, because it's run on hookers and cocaine we've talked about. So what do? Well, you have to operate in a new third world, and that's what we're trying to do here in America. Kelly and I and our friends, and what we're trying to do is operate in a way that you're living as frugally as possible, with as much buoyancy as you can have and as much fluidity. Now, by fluidity, I mean if somebody loses a position that they make money from, something stops selling, whatever it might be, you have something to back up on. You're already living very frugal. You're buying rice, corn, all those things. You're growing as much food as you possibly can. You're not spending money needlessly. That's what you need to do. So the high cost of living has become, according to economists, the single most important financial crisis for U.S. families. This is happening for the third year in a row. Now, there is some validation between what they say with the number 3, when you see 3 years of plague, 3 years of crisis, 3 years of war, 3 years of financial diversity or financial division. Maybe this is actually what's going to happen. They say a record 41 to 49% of all Americans, so 1 out of 2 Americans. That's pretty bad odds. They have claimed that the high cost of living, as well as the corporate greed inflation in their economy, has become the largest financial issue inside of their household, potentially breaking up their homes. This is up from the previous all-time high, which was just in the low 30s, guys. That was in 2023. It was in the 20s in 2022. So you had maybe a quarter of Americans saying that, yeah, my work at Walmart, or my work in a foundation class where they're working construction, whatever it might be, yeah, things are tough, things are hard. Now half of all Americans, and let me just put out a guess here, that the other half, they're lying and they're actually struggling, but they don't want to say they're struggling because that's a point of, admission of vulnerability. To put this into perspective, even during the 2008 financial crisis, only 15% of all Americans saw the cost of living as their problem, their number one problem. Now Americans can no longer afford basic necessities. They're cutting back on food just to keep the electricity running in the house. Dire, dire times. Delinquency rates on office buildings have hit an all-time high. We have all these records that are being broke. People can't afford their living. They can't afford their medicine. They can't, afford to do proactive things. They can't afford for their mental health. Now they're saying that they are losing their jobs. Starbucks has reported a second straight revenue decline. Go figure there. Grocery stores around Russia have run out of water, bread, flour, cereals, and other goods. 1,000 workers plus were taken away in mass raids on distribution centers to collect individuals to go to war for Ukraine. Against Ukraine. Now, the draft, when it comes to America, when they come pick up your little girls, your daughters, when they come pick up your sons, I don't think we can make it through that. I don't think we can have a draft here in the country without having civil unrest. And I'm talking major civil unrest, not the pansified unrest that we saw during Vietnam, where people were like, I wrote my note, don't take my son to draft. No, this is going to be a whole new world because people in general, the mindset of our citizens has woken up and they're like, no, you are not putting my kid's life on the line for your banker's war. Because what's really happening here? Let's break it down for a second, okay? First of all, we have a vested interest inside of Ukraine, and we have pushed Ukraine, and we have surrounded Russia with NATO, and we have done all these things. So we have a vested interest. It means we have money tied up inside of Ukraine. So we push this to happen. And Russia says, we can't take it anymore. And they go, we're going to just take some Ukrainian territory back. They already got the nuclear weapons. They're going to take some territory back.
Delay in New York hush money case sentencing until after the election. Trump's lawyers asked a judge to delay sentencing for his criminal conviction for falsifying business records scheduled for September 18th until after the election. I don't think they'll delay it. And we've got this tweet now. This was just brought up by Hannah Claire and Danny here.
Yeah, that's
Tony Saruga says multiple high-level sources have stated the New York City Department of Correction is making arrangements for Donald J. Trump's arrival at Rikers Island in September. He tweeted this. This is just yesterday. President Trump will 100% be sentenced to prison on September 18th. I'm told the sentence will be 1 year, but we'll see. The Marxist judge could change the sentencing at the last minute, but he's definitely sentencing President Trump to at least 1 year. Rikers Island already has special accommodations ready. This is 2 months before the election. This has got 3.1 million views. I don't know what his source is. This guy is just, he's a contractor. He's a philanthropist.
CIA
whistleblower. Is that what he says? CIA, NSA contractor, whistleblower, Intel Ops.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's probably got some sources, but it is all rumors right now.
Yeah.
However, Hannah Claire made a good point. Kamala's not committing to any dates past September 10th for a debate because she maybe knows something Trump doesn't.
Mm-hmm. There you go. I mean, that's a massive wrench in this whole thing. If he's literally like... I don't think my brain can actually process the idea that...
I think it'd be really hard to wrap your mind around that in one summer somebody shot him while on stage at a rally and then they sent him to prison. Like,
sure,
that's really crazy optics. But also when Trump has these kind of like momentous legal moments, I think back to the Atlanta mugshot release, support for Trump surges. And so I think it would be more about ego if there was, a judge or someone who was like, no, we have to send Trump to prison. Like, they are no longer playing the long game at that point, because you can still run for president from prison, or at least for federal office.
So if he goes to prison, he gets elected, he wins on November 5th. Like, do they bring cameras into the prison?
I have to say, I don't know.
Is he just sleeping?
The state's going to argue.
Watching on his little like.
They're going to say it doesn't matter if he's president. He's still in prison at the state level.
So can he pardon himself?
Not at the state level.
So then what? Just the first 8 months of his term is just he's incarcerated?
Would he need Hochul, the governor of New York?
I think
he's not going to do that.
I got to be honest. If it were me, and I was sentenced, and we know these charges are nonsense. They're psychotic. I would just instruct the Secret Service to open the doors. That's
I don't think the Secret Service has that. They would have to instruct the actual guards of the prison. Like, I think the Secret Service is essentially
like a jurisdiction question.
Yeah, well, they can't just open up the jails. I assume they're just there to protect him from other prisoners while the COs do their job.
But a lot of time, state agencies, like when, the FBI or some other federal law enforcement agency comes in, they're like, okay, we defer to you. Like, does that work for the Secret Service as well? I don't know.
Like,
different bureau entirely.
Guys, if I was the president and New York locked me up, if I was in jail and then I got elected and they said, you're the president now, and they said, it doesn't matter, you're not leaving, I'd be like, okay, send in the Army, Insurrection Act. Like, there's no question. They're not going to keep the president of the United States in a state jail. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And also, when
But will they keep him at least up into the how many days after the election?
I think they'll lock
Does he
him
go
up.
Shawshank style?
What if Trump
a lot of people
escapes?
saying house arrest, like because he's too complicated to keep in prison. You can't actually but that would still take him off the.
If Trump has an ankle monitor, I'm going to lose my mind.
I thought house arrest,
so
but
many
Brandon Strzok made a better point. He said, "Why stop? Why would anyone make? He's like, why would you make the argument that they're going to be tempered now when they've been going as hard as possible nonstop the whole time?" And I'm like, yeah, good point. They want him. They want him in a jumpsuit.
They went the hardest possible about a month ago in Butler.
Who is they though?
I don't know.
Head trap.
No idea.
Isn't it weird though that the last? I hate to steal that.
The people
word
who
now.
hate Trump.
Correct.
But that's how I describe it. Like the people who hate Trump, they hate him so much that one of them tried to kill Donald Trump. We don't know how it happened, how he was let in. There's new photos of him.
Don't know anything.
There's a photo of him walking around with the gun. There's a photo that came out showing him walking around early with the gun, and like nobody stopped him, nobody said anything.
Crazy.
I don't buy it.
We're waiting for the classic FBI.
Yeah, and it's been what, a month, and we just don't know anything.
But we can talk about Iran, right? Like
Sure.
they're up to bad stuff. There's like such a shift in that narrative now. What I was gonna say is, isn't it weird that the last debate of this cycle could be the vice presidential debate? Normally, it's like you get a presidential debate, you get a you might get two, and then a vice presidential debate, and then the last one is typically another presidential debate. There's like 3 every cycle.
Yeah.
But Kamala's only agreed to this one in September, even though Trump has offered multiple. Vance and Walz have agreed to this October 1st debate, so that'd be a VP debate. They've also J.D. Vance has offered to debate earlier in September. But maybe Trump is going to be in prison, and that's why we're not scheduling more debates. Like everything seems so out of rhythm.
Not even like a regular jail, too. Rikers Island.
Right? Kamala, if she was smart, she'd debate him in prison.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah,
she's
just
a
on the
prosecutor.
phones?
Yeah.
Just on the phones
like
through
she
the glass?
shows up and they like get a stage and then he's in an orange jumpsuit and they're making him do the debate.
And instead of regular people who are into politics and go watch it, it's all of the.
Yeah, it's just all the people Kamala Harris locked up.
He'd win in a landslide
fascinating.
like that. In an orange
I
suit.
mean, people say that if he gets arrested, he's going to win, but he got shot in the face.
Shot in the face, 34 felony convictions.
And he's not up in the polls, so I don't know what that means. I think this country is just hyper-polarized and on the verge of falling apart.
Well, I also think they stopped talking about the assassination attempt.
Well,
he
he
was
lost.
just saying they stopped all of this investigation that we should hear about nonstop is like
Because
third-tier news right now.
Biden announced literally he had so much heat and so much juice from the assassination. It was all going his way. And then Biden, 6 days later, basically is like, I'm not running. And then that was the new story.
That was the only way Democrats could reclaim.
Yeah,
the
it was. I mean, it was a smart move.
And the news
Smart
cycle's
strategy.
so fast. You know, it's here.
It's
just
fast, but it
switching
was
over
an
and over.
assassination attempt of a presidential candidate.
But now everyone has to like all.
The Biden administration finally agreed to ban Peter Daszak and EcoHealth Alliance from receiving any.
The journalists have
It's
to
not
do
like
this.
preseason football's back on.
No, it's totally different. Now, people do have to do all this research to be like, well, Kamala, what was her background? Oh, there's Walz now. Actually, it might be Shapiro. Like, there is sort of all of this narrative building that mainstream media has to do that I can understand where they think this is the priority over this like really slow and unclear investigation into the FBI and Secret Service led by Congress.
I mean, if this was the other way around, the news story cycle would be, why is this investigation so slow? What is going on here? Like, if
because
it's the
they
other
would
way,
care about it.
well,
but
they would
don't.
care and they would make it a focal point. They're choosing not to.
Do you think that American people have forgotten it the way the mainstream media has?
I mean, some people. I mean, half the country didn't care to begin with.
That's fair.
And you know,
But
yeah,
people who care about it, I feel like that made them more motivated. Like, it was interesting to me how many people, because we went to Milwaukee for the RNC right after, and I would like Uber to the convention, and these people would be like, yeah, I didn't really care about it, but that was like a big moment. Like, I think even if the mainstream media isn't talking about it, there are average voters who cannot get the image of Trump standing up on that stage out of their head.
Yeah. Well,
It is actually interesting that, it's a month out from the assassination attempt and it's just not really news anymore.
No.
That's kind of nuts.
I mean, honestly, you hear. Granted, JFK was a different story, but it's like that is like a pivotal moment. That's like a milestone moment in this country's history.
If Trump were to have not tilted his head and died, it's not only that we would be still talking about it, but Joe Biden would be using it as an excuse for authoritarian lockdowns, control, just crazy.
I mean, he might not have stepped down.
He might not have stepped down. They'd enact crazy electoral changes and be like, there's going to be security, police everywhere now. This is during an election. They would blame Iran or Russia and then use that as justification to put security
and
policing
gun violence,
all over the place.
Right? They would be like, look, this is what happens. We really need to have gun restrictions everywhere. I mean, it would be wild.
even
the number of things they would pin to that.
Tim Walz, when he got his when he gave his speech or whatever, and he was talking about guns, it's like you didn't reference this thing. You didn't even choose to reference because you probably would like.
But Democrats can't acknowledge it at all because if you remind anyone of it, it's such
even
a
on the topic
favor.
of restricting guns and gun control, you're like, they won't even point to that thing because it's bad for them.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's going to be one heck of an election season. It certainly feels like there's ebbs and flows to the chaos cycle. Like one day, a far leftist walks up to a guy in the middle of the street in Portland and just blasts him in the chest, killing him. And then the next day you're sitting there, it's a slow news day, and Kamala's talking about, not having policies or whatever. And what ends up happening is whenever there's something in the news that's extreme or terrifying, like Trump's sentencing or Trump's conviction, people get that sinking feeling like, holy crap. But then as everybody waits, it slowly starts to normalize. People start to adapt to the circumstance, and then now it just feels normal again, and you feel like nothing is going to change. So let me just stress how far we've gone. They first accused Donald Trump of being a spy, a traitor to his country, who was put in this position as president by a foreign adversary. They impeached him twice. They accused him of an insurrection against this country. They failed. They charged him multiple times, accused him of rape. These things are all nonsensical. They arrested his lawyers. They arrested the Republican elector slates that did not win the election but were filing the paperwork. They arrested many of them. Donald Trump has been convicted now on 34 counts of.
Through the cracks of the light pour in. Have a blast, got the drinks pour in. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Getting food out, yeah, you can bring your friends.
What's up, guys? Boy Benny. All that glitters is not gold is something maybe your grandfather used to say to you. These old adages have a lot of truth baked into them. What that one means is if you see a shiny new object, don't go crazy for it, because the chances are it's not a hunk of gold. Chances are it's probably just a cheap knockoff imitation that, is worthless. Now, you may have seen in your social media feed a bunch of brand new polls and even some images of like lots of people at a Kamala Harris rally over the last few days. Now, we've done our best to fact check these massive rallies and to just simply say, okay, here is hundreds of influencers saying that they're being paid by Kamala Harris. Here are half a dozen Grammy Award-winning artists that are performing free concerts to get asses in seats at these things, as you can see here in this post from Savannah Hernandez, people getting up and leaving after Megan Thee Stallion. Don't tell Tim Walz there's a stallion on stage. He'll get too excited. Megan Thee Stallion performed here. This was in Atlanta. And you can see people just fleeing, just leaving. We cautioned people to say, when there's free concerts, and when there's hype about somebody, it's called a sugar high or a honeymoon, right? And when they're bussing people in, and when they're paying influencers, and they're bussing in like...
Politics? Well, it's a mess. But that hasn't stopped me from getting things done for Oregon.
There's a lot of people who work for the federal government, a lot of people who work for the public sector that get told they must go to an event, or their job depends on it. A lot of people who work for unions get told they must go. We just sort of cautioned people, all right, about this. The wisdom of old Cat Turd. I love Cat Turd so much. Just so you know, like Hillary, Kamala Harris will continue to do rallies with bigger stars and free concerts to draw crowds. Here's what Hillary Clinton looked like on election night. I think this was the Beyonce concert. And here, look at all these people. Lots of people. Look at all that. I mean, there's lots of people at this rally. Thousands and thousands of people there for Hillary Clinton's doomed rally because of Beyonce, right? So anyway, all I'm trying to say here is you got to listen to your boy, okay? Got to listen to your boy here because we were right. Because we were right. The honeymoon is now officially over for Kami Kamala, because people are starting to learn that Kami Kamala is a communist. And the normalization of the race has begun. And it's very exciting. This is Kamala Harris's rally right now. Okay? What's going on today? This is in the all-important swing state of North Carolina. Listen, if Kamala Harris wins North Carolina, boy, that's a big win for her. They can't even fill like this high school gymnasium. Now, a reminder, Kamala Harris rallies before the massive sugar high of the corporate media couldn't fill a high school gymnasium. This is an image of a Philadelphia gymnasium that Kamala Harris spoke at the beginning of the summer with Joe Biden. And they forced the students to go. They couldn't even fill up half a basketball court for Kamala Harris. This is called normalization. This is what the hype eventually wears off, and you start getting crowds like this. More like this. Okay? Still, probably an enormous amount of people that have been forced into their seats or paid off. We're not arguing that these people are AI. If they are AI, then it's a really bad AI job, because it looks like there's like, I don't know, 30 people there. Yeah. Not good. I see they're giving Kamala the presidential podium, though, already. Anything for the gram. Look at this. Seems like without paid rappers twerking, Kamala's crowds are as scarce as a Wi-Fi signal in the middle of nowhere. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-o. Wow, where'd Kamala's big crowds go when she doesn't have a free concert? Good question. Maybe her crowds are not here to listen to Kamala Harris butcher her lines about communist price controls. Listen to this. Literal communism, but she can't even get the lines right.
And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
Price gauging? Price gagging? It's called price gouging, lady. This is Kamala's rally. This is the Trump rally. In North Carolina, these rallies are like right next door to each other. This is Trump in North Carolina. Trump's not even on stage, by the way, in this video. Kamala's crowd without the performance attached. This is in the swing state of North Carolina. These are starting to look like Joe Biden crowds. Very strange. Meanwhile, Donald Trump in blue areas, right? Blue areas, St. Cloud, Minnesota, Atlanta, Georgia. These are Democrat areas. This is not the same photo again and again. These are all different arenas. Whoa. President Trump in Harlem. President Trump in Harlem. This is Harlem. One of the most diverse, populated Democrat stronghold districts in the country. And this is President Trump on stage in Harlem. The overflow rooms were like, you were unable to move in the overflow rooms. Not good. Not good for Kamala Harris. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, so here we go. Kamala Harris is not on stage yet, but you can see that the vast majority of the people are media. This is now reverting to Joe Biden level. Okay? This is Joe Biden level crowds. We went to a Donald Trump rally. This was in South Carolina before the primary.
My parents had no mortgage, so they thought they needed no insurance.
Look at this. It took us like 20 minutes just to get to the end of the line. Look. The end of the line to get in. But to speed it up. The Energy for Trump in New Jersey, where Donald Trump had 100,000 people gather. You can see here. 100,000 people. Arguably the biggest political rally in history. Crazy. This was us in South Carolina. We filmed this ourselves. I mean, this was just the one that we went to. There's MAGA rallies. There's a lot of MAGA rallies. I encourage you to go to one. This was Trump in Georgia. And there's, more and more and more. So, yeah. It's crazy. Kamala Harris. Trump is too lazy to campaign in swing states. Look at this. Including St. Cloud, Minnesota. It's amazing. Donald Trump's doing these events in Democrat cities. And he's cooking Kamala. Honeymoon over, man. The honeymoon is over. Meanwhile, we got very good news. Tulsi Gabbard is going to help. Tulsi Gabbard, the one who ended Kamala Harris's campaign last time, is helping Donald Trump on debate prep. And the Washington Post, of all places, is calling Kamala Harris a communist. When your opponent calls you communist, maybe don't propose price controls. Meanwhile, Donald Trump getting big-time rapper endorsements. Come on, baby. We all want that back.
Happen here, but it could actually be a sign of things to come dependent upon what happens this November. Now, I'm going to give you some strong opinions in this video and some context with the video that I'm about to show you, of course, but I want to hear your opinions as well. No matter if you agree or disagree, let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. Let's go and get into it. Now, just to share a little bit of context before the video, this was shot by Tanya Kerrison, who is a resident in Minneapolis, Minnesota, who originally shared this video. Okay, so big thanks to her for actually taking this video and doing this. Now, once you watch it for the first time, just drop a comment. Let me know what you like, your instant reaction as soon as you watch the video, and then of course I'm going to add context and give you some of my opinions after, because it's absolutely nuts. Check it out.
Oh, there's more. Look at this. They just keep coming.
Go inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go! Light him up! Go inside now! Get in the house!
Get in. Get in. Oh, God, that hurt. You good? Are you okay? Right on the crotch. Are you okay? You got hit? I'm good. They're fucked for that, dude. What? Okay.
Join large-scale battles with military vehicles. The online action game War Thunder has received a major update, Direct Hit. Joining the battle are machines like the Soviet MiG-27M, American Abrams HC, the Swedish Viggen, and many other new vehicles. Push these modern machines to their limit on the new map, Spaceport. Dozens of players participate in a single battle using tanks, planes, and helicopters. Research unique modules, smoke grenades, dynamic defenses, thermal sensors, and much more. Use all the advantages, and if you're skilled enough, finish the battle.
That happened right here. So again, this was in 2020. The first thing pretty much everybody thinks about when they, you bring up the year 2020 is COVID. And while that's true, COVID was going on and there was a lot of questionable things that Americans were willing to put up with in 2020, unimaginable things that Americans were willing to do and comply with. This wasn't because of COVID. This was actually caused by the death of George Floyd. You have a video of an officer with the knee on his neck. He's asking for air, and there's been a lot of things that have come out since then. But you have a video that looks bad. You have people that are angry. You have officers get fired, and then the protests start. And here's where I fall on protest. you should be able to protest whatever you want. No matter if I agree or disagree or whatever, you should be able to do that. But once your protests turn to rioting, looting, burning down buildings, and committing crimes, you're no longer a protester, you're a criminal. And that's exactly what happened in the city of Minneapolis. I think over 1,500 businesses were burned to the ground. So who was the governor that actually called in these orders for the National Guard? Well, it was Tim Walz, who is the VP pick of Kamala Harris. The mayor of Minneapolis had asked Governor Walz to bring in the National Guard days before. He saw what was going on. Hey, our city's burning to the ground. We need some help here. A staffer for Walz told the mayor, like, hey, he's kind of hesitating by sending in the National Guard. Now, Trump said he was going to do it. Now, there's some inflammatory remarks from Trump right here, admittedly, as well, okay? Something about, you know, the residents wouldn't mind the National Guard occupying the city. But one thing you have to remember, every statement that I was able to find from Trump, that I read anyways, always talked about looting, people committing crimes, people burning buildings to the ground. Never once did I find a statement from Trump that said, hey, make sure they walk the streets and shoot residents that are just standing on their porches with paintball guns. That order came from somewhere else, and I got a pretty good guess as to who that is, because Walz waited like 3 days to even call in the National Guard, and by that time, things were starting to subside while the city was burning to the ground. He said in this curfew, right, that started at 8 p.m., lasted till 6 a.m., right? And so there was stipulations in the curfew, like, hey, if you're a resident, you can stand on your own property. Well, thanks for the permission. You can stand on your porch, but if law enforcement tells you something different or gives you different instructions, you gotta follow them. These orders were put in place by the governor to show force and hopefully try to, I guess in his mind, make up for all the damage that had already been done. You hear the officers yell, light them up. Now, it doesn't look like a paintball gun to me. It actually looks like a riot gun with some type of paint projectile. Some people would say, oh, that's a paintball gun. Well, you know, paintball guns have hoppers on the top where you actually drop the paintballs in, but there's all types of non-lethal projectiles that police have access to. And so while it may or may not be an actual paintball gun, I don't know if you've ever been hit with a paintball, right? Or something similar to that, but they hurt. They will leave welts on you wherever they make contact. And you hear the kid even say, man, that hurt, you know, it hit me right in the crotch, you know? And so those... Those things actually, they do hurt. And without protective gear on you, especially covering your face or your throat, your eyes, anything like that, they can do some serious damage. So you may see it as something like silly, like, oh, it's, you know, just a riot, a non-lethal type of projectile. You see the smoke on the ground right there that kind of pinpoints the location as well as they're coming back in the house. But don't take that lightly. I wouldn't want to be shot with one. I've been shot with paintballs, and like I said, they freaking hurt. And I imagine the pain level is something similar to that. Now, the other thing I don't want y'all to get the impression of is that I don't support good police officers, because I absolutely do. But this is crossing a line to me, right? Now, if this video showed, you know, that the person taking the video or another person was taking a video of them rioting, looting, burning down buildings, attacking citizens, that kind of stuff, oh, absolutely. You know, using non-lethals to stop them in their tracks, we all prefer that, right? We would much prefer that over them using lethals, right? But police officers are in tough spots. The majority of them, they have to make these split-second decisions in which do they use lethal, non-lethal, and we've seen good police officers and bad police officers, right? It's just it's an unfortunate thing that there's bad mixed in with a lot of good police officers. So don't get the idea that I don't support police. But this reminds me of, oh, well, I was just following orders. This, in my opinion, walking through a neighborhood, a peaceful neighborhood at that, where nothing is obviously going on, is way too far. Even if they think that they're trying to keep some type of control with presence, there's nothing really that separates their presence like this with non-lethals than what you may find in a communist country like China or a totalitarian type of government, except over there they would be using real guns, of course. Keep those officers where the action is happening, making sure that you're locking people up that are, actually committing crimes, not peaceful neighborhoods where people are just chilling on their porch, watching what you get, something to that extent. That's the scary part, is that tens of millions of people will be voting for a Waltz-Harris ticket, or a Harris-Waltz ticket, however you want to say it, that has people that think like this and think they can absolutely do this and there's nothing wrong with it, and they feel like they just saved the day. So big thanks to Tanya, the lady that shared this, and getting an
Now we get serious. Now we get serious.
Our lost submarine has been recovered in Along, India. While our national property is being defiled, our most secret weapon systems are being looted. This is an emergency. Naval infantry will deploy immediately, and with them you must prevent the Americans from establishing a presence. This effort will not come easily. Fight well. Our troops have captured Echo Sector.
Our plan is effective. We hold more sectors than our enemy.
We're attacking Charlie 1. We now control Delta Sector.
Deliver the support package on your request.
We now hold Charlie Sector. just secured Echo Sector.
They hold more sectors than us. We must alter our strategy. Our forces are advancing to take Bravo 2.
We just took control of Delta Sector. Give me an assessment.
Hostiles move fast to seize objectives. We're running behind.
One of our objectives is under attack.
Our strategy is working. We now control more sectors than the enemy.
We control Alpha Sector. We have taken Bravo Sector. Well done. We have secured almost every sector. American forces deteriorating. They're beginning to weaken. I couldn't be more pleased. All sectors secure.
Echo 1 is under attack.
Enemy has secured Alpha Sector.
Grenade going up.
Support package is ready. Call in if you need it.
They have control of Echo Sector.
We are hitting Bravo 1. Hostiles control more sectors than we do.
Our enemy has taken Charlie Sector. We have conquered Echo Sector.
We have superiority in this battle. Make sure we maintain it. Hostile presence at altitude.
Our torpedoes approaching your location. Keep as much distance as you can. Charlie Sector secure. They're at half strength. Proceed according to plan.
Reload!
Enemy moving on Delta 1. U.S. forces have captured an objective.
Hostiles now control Bravo Sector.
They control more sectors than we do. We must counterattack. we are initiating an attack on Echo 1.
Enemy here! 50 meters from your position! Spotted a hostile! Enemy troop there! Attack the threat! Near your position!
We now control Echo Sector.
We control most sectors on the battlefield.
Enemy soldier marked! 170 meters! Enemy here! 90 meters from your position! Get to a new position!
Delta Sector is under American occupation.
I see a hostile fire team! Hostile infantry, about 70 meters from your position! Spotted a hostile! Troop spotted!
Enemy vehicle!
110 meters! Enemy soldier marked! Troop spotted! About 90 meters from your position! Hostile located! Found one! Enemy soldier marked! 70 meters from your position! There's a tango!
Echo 1 under attack by hostiles.
Located!
Objective secured. Alpha Sector under control. We have lost Echo Sector to hostiles.
Hostiles are controlling this battle. They have more sectors. Staging attack on Echo 1. All 4 sectors than the enemy.
Control all of Delta Sector. Advantage is ours. Hostile forces are in disarray.
They have a tank 170 meters away.
All U.S. forces retreating. Victory is ours.